Here on The Colour of Country Life, the day after the state budget, good to catch up with the Minister for Agriculture and for Western New South Wales, Dougal Saunders. How are you going there?
Ricky, really well, thanks. Nice to talk to you.
You'd be pretty happy as an Ag Minister to be able to say you've put more than $1 billion of spending into the agriculture area in New South Wales.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And it's one of those things that whilst the dollar figure sounds big, it's what it delivers that's really, really important. So when you break it down, I guess there's been a couple of key focuses. One has been around flood recovery in the northern part of the state, and there's been a lot of talk about exactly how that looks. But then probably the number one thing that we're dealing with in this budget is biosecurity, and that's around preventing future outbreaks, but also preparing for, if they happen, how we can actually deal with that. So using innovative technologies, using different modelling, different planning, mRNA vaccines, which have become, I guess, a bit of a common term since COVID, and we're using some of the learnings from COVID to inform what we can do in this space now. And biosecurity is one of the key things in an agricultural sense that we need to be focusing on right now and also into the future.
Well, with our primary producers down at the Wagga sale yards and beyond, there'd be concern about the outbreaks in Indonesia with lumpy skin disease and foot and mouth disease. Is there specific measures there that'll help in that area of making sure we're on top of a potential outbreak of with our livestock?
Yeah, look, absolutely. And one of the key things we're doing is surveillance being ramped up, and everything has literally been ramped up with this budget announcement and even leading up to the announcement, to be honest. And part of it's around making sure that the problems that we're seeing in Indonesia and some of those islands do not get into Australia, but it is very difficult to cover every square inch of territory up there. So it's preparing for what happens if it does get in, and that includes using artificial intelligence on some of the border patrols that we have. Trucks used to be stopped at tick gates for surveillance of stock in the past. Those gates are all now automatic, but they are being fitted with specialised cameras to make sure that any movements are really tracked. They can see exactly where stock has been and gone to and from, so that if there is an incident that's picked up, it can be very quickly shut down and those animals, if you like, quarantined. So that's part of it. But I guess the really exciting part is using, as I mentioned, that mRNA technology. So we've got a team of scientists based at the Elizabeth MacArthur Ag Institute who are already working on how to come up with that mRNA vaccine for lumpy skin, particularly at the moment. They're working with Canada, and their colleagues in Canada have already done some of the early work around this. Hopefully by the end of the year, we will see the ability to vaccinate animals who might be infected with lumpy skin. So that's all been fast-tracked given this budget announcement, and we have the best of the best doing it and hoping to lead the entire country in that space.
Well, I guess we've had an insight into an outbreak when it comes to the pork industry and Japanese Encephalitis. When it comes to public land and feral pigs that have got that virus or contracted it, are we able to do enough to make sure we're protecting our industry due to feral animals?
Yeah, look, one of the things with that is it's really, pigs are one of those animals that sort of highlight the incidents rather than create it or spread it. So they're a shower up. So they signify and become a bit of an alarm, I suppose, for where that virus might be. Very difficult to control, particularly in the feral animals that we know are prevalent right across regional New South Wales. But there are some very targeted cullings of those animals, but also some really specialised surveillance that goes on, literally monitoring mosquito populations, and that is the main way this spreads, JE, and also it's one of the main vectors that would spread either lumpy skin and or foot and mouth disease. So, our surveillance of mosquito populations is significant, and they literally gather mosquitoes in all sorts of different ways and then test them regularly. So that will continue. As far as preventative measures on JE and other things, it is making sure that you're not actually allowing water to sit around any properties where breeding of mosquitoes would then be created. So that's one of the things you can do proactively as a producer to make sure you're not enabling mosquito breeding. And the rest of it is about surveillance and making sure you've got the right animal advice at the time.
Now, your shadow, Mick Veitch, spoke to us just moments ago, said that when it comes to biosecurity, the farmers have their obligations, but so too on public land. He's expressed concern about the staffing levels in local land services. Are we going to be able to keep on top of biosecurity threats in public land as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Mick's probably spread a little bit of misinformation, whether intentionally or not. There is actually an uplift in local land services. And I think there was a suggestion there's been a downturn. There absolutely has not been. There's a 15% increase in funding for local land services. It equates to over $35 million. And over the next 4 years, it's about $164 million of budget for local land services. It is a significant uplift for local land services. And they're part of a huge range of our programs, including provision of enabling the new farm forestry codes that we've enacted now. Local land services heavily involved in all of those farm stewardship plans, all of the planning around sustainable harvest plans as well. So any suggestion that local land services are being downgraded in any way, shape or form is completely inaccurate.
Well, Minister, thank you very much for clarifying that for us, and thanks for joining us today on Flow.
No worries at all. Good to talk to you. Have a great day.